today we're doing vampires. Super excited. We're doing 3 cocktails, if it can be called that, or 2 cocktails as a snack. They're very simple, straightforward cocktails, but they're fun. We're also going to learn about working with an ingredient that gets very popular around Halloween, but can kind of be dangerous if you don't know how to use it. And that would be activated charcoal. So before we get too deep into all that information, I'm going to start off with the cocktail I like to call the BloodShot. Hi, Casey.
I love it.
Every week I'll look different too. I'm going to dress up for everything. We'll see. I'm going to pick up maybe some new makeup skills as we do this. But yes, we're going to start with BloodShot, which is the snack of our cocktails. It's actually a Jello shot. I don't like Jello shots. I feel like they always taste terrible. Like they always taste artificial, or they're boozy in the wrong way. So spend some time, try to come up with something. And then, of course, because they're red and it's Vampire Day, they kind of look like congealed blood. So I'm going to walk you guys through how I make the Jello shots. And then by movie magic, I'm going to show you that they're already made. So for this, I'm also going to need the assistance of my assistant. And he's going to come in here and take something from me and bring it back. But it's very simple. This particular recipe is going to make about a 12-ounce shot. So most disposable Jello shot containers, the ones that look like little deli cups with the little lid on them, are about 2 ounces. So it would make half of that. I like these little 1-ounce ones because then it's a little bit easier to control. These are actually quite easy. So the key here is to use fresh juice, because if you're using the pasteurized, especially in the citrus juice, it's going to be harder for your gelatin to gel, because we already have a lot of ingredients in this recipe that don't like healthy gelatin, such as alcohol and citrus. Pasteurization in the citrus actually is a deterrent as well. So we try to stay away from that for this particular recipe. So in a mixing glass, I am going to add 2 ounces of bourbon. And you can use any bourbon, but I will say maybe don't use your really expensive stuff. Just because it is going into Jello shots. So maybe not the best place to use, I don't know, a $60 bottle of bourbon. But yeah, I'm using Jim Beam, just a regular run-of-the-mill bourbon. And then I'm using blackberry brandy. Now you can use any other kind of brandy. This one's 35% alcohol by volume. So if you're using a different brandy, check your alcohol percentage. If it's higher than this, you might have a bit of an issue with your gelatin setting, but it shouldn't be too bad if you don't go over 40. So 2 ounces of bourbon, 1 of blackberry brandy. Put that right in there. Then I'm going to add my juices. So I have 2 ounces of unsweetened cranberry juice. Very important. You can make this with regular, like cranberry cocktail, the ocean spray stuff, but the Jello shots will be a lot sweeter and the alcohol won't be as noticeable. So I don't recommend that. But unsweetened cranberry juice is what I'm using. I'm going to use a 1/2 ounce of fresh squeezed lime juice and 1 ounce of water. And then I'm going to send a message to my trusty assistant to come get this and heat it up for me, because he's so fantastic sometimes. Best part about him is he doesn't like Jello shots, so I'm going to consume all of these by the end of the day. Well, not really. I'm going to probably consume the first end, and these ones won't be ready until tomorrow. Maybe we'll be for breakfast. Thank you, my trusty assistant. 30 to 45, just so it's hot. So I put that in the microwave. You can do it over a stove. You just want it to be hot enough to steep tea. You don't want it to boil because you would burn off some of the alcohol, but you do need it warm enough to dissolve the gelatin. If you're concerned about losing any of your alcohol content, you can just combine the juices, the water, and then heat that, and then add in your alcohols after you dissolve the gelatin in there. So that's one way to do that. So I'm going to show you how I have this set up. So I have a little like to-go container that you get from like Panda Express, I think, or something like that. I don't know. Somebody left these at my house. And then I have these little 1 ounce sampler cups. And I like putting these when I'm making jello shots. I like to put all of the containers, even if they have lids or don't, in a Pyrex dish or something with a flat bottom. Because then if something gets jostled in the fridge and they're not set and they spill, you're not having to clean up gelatin from your fridge, which is terrible and sticky and weirdly textured because it's thin. So don't do that. Put them in a container. If you don't have lids, like mine don't have lids. They're just open little like cups. So if you want to do multiple of these, maybe you're having a party for Halloween, or maybe you want to treat yourself, then you can put these in your Pyrex dish or your container, put a chopping board on top, and then do another layer and so forth. However many you need, and you can stack them like that. Really, really trusty way to do that. So then the important part of any jello shot, thank you very much. That's good. Is your gelatin. So I chose Jello brand raspberry Jello. I tried it with cherry and I tried it with cranberry. The flavor worked really well with the raspberry. So I have 2 ounces, which is a little less than a whole package. And I'm going to just stir that in. You can use a whisk. You can use a frother, like the ones people have for cappuccinos. You can put this in a blender if you want, but it's not really necessary as long as you stir and incorporate all of the gelatin. So I think yesterday I used my little cappuccino frother, and that worked out pretty well. The reason I like to do this in measuring cup though is because now I can pour this very slowly and carefully into all of my little cups. All right. So pour this each one of my little cups, and see if you're doing this and you fill them individually and you fill them to the brim and you don't already have them in your container. Trying to move them later to put them in the fridge one by one is such a miserable, painstaking process. So take my word for it, put them in a container, you will not regret it. All right, beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna set these over to the side. Watch this. Dun, 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 dun. These ones are done. Haha, magic. So I'm gonna put a lid on these, and that's how I can stack them in my fridge. But let me show you how lovely these jello shots look. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. And they just are perfect in these little things. So if you don't know how to eat a jello shot, you would use your mouth, but some people are kind of weird, so you can loosen it with a knife or a skewer on the outside, and it'll pop out better. But if you can find these, there's some that are ridged, and those are the best ones for jello shots because then when you squeeze them, they pop out. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you make blood shots. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, moving on with more spooky goodness. We are gonna make a cocktail I like to call the Shadow Lurker. And this is the one that has activated charcoal. So I do want to put out a caveat. You don't want to consume a ton of activated charcoal in one night. So if you're going to make a lot of these cocktails, take it easy on the charcoal, a little goes a long way. There are other ingredients you can use that are kind of weird and make things taste funny, like squid ink. Not a huge fan of that in my cocktails, but if you want to stay away from charcoal, you can. The reason you want to be careful, activated charcoal, when consumed at the wrong time, if you are on medication, will make you not absorb your medication either before or after taking it. So if you know someone at your party is on medication for something, or if you yourself are on medication for diabetes or heart issues or blood pressure, give yourself a 3 to 4 hour window before consuming anything with activated charcoal. And then once you drink something with activated charcoal, you, after your last beverage, also 3 to 4 hours. So that way the charcoal won't absorb all of your medication and you'll be fine and can drink whatever you want. So for this cocktail, we're going to need a cocktail shaker, and we're going to use a 1/2 ounce of pomegranate juice. That right in my shaker. We're going to use a 1/4 ounce of lemon juice. Use a 1/4 ounce of simple syrup. I'm going to tell y'all a little secret about this cocktail here in a second. It'll blow your mind. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to use 1 ounce of vodka. I'm using grapefruit vodka, but you can use plain vodka or any other flavored vodka you like. So 1 whole ounce. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot. A lot of the cocktails I make on our little classes usually have 1.5 ounces to 2.5 ounces per drink. There's a reason it only has 1 ounce. I'll tell you that in just a second. Then we're going to use our activated charcoal. I like to keep mine in this tiny little vial. Goes with me to places. So this is 1/8 of a teaspoon measure, and I'm only going to use like 1/3 of that. Show it on camera. So if this is the spoon, I'm only filling it up maybe that much. So like 1/3 or 1/4 of 1/8 of a teaspoon. It's a very small amount. You could pinch it, but then your fingers will be black. So don't do that if you don't have to. Okay, so we've got our charcoal, our pomegranate, our simple, our lemon, our vodka. We're gonna ice our shaker. We're gonna take it for about 10 to 15 seconds. All right, when your shaker's nice and cold, you're gonna take a sparkling mineral water and you're gonna pour about 4 ounces, give or take, right into there. And then I'm going to ice my glass. And you can dirty dump this cocktail if you would like. I prefer to strain it. And strain it right over our ice. This black colored cocktail. And surprise, surprise, this is a homemade White Claw. It has exactly 100 calories, and it is much tastier than an actual White Claw. And I'm going to garnish this with a dried lemon. Yeah, look, it's almost like a purpley black just because of the pomegranate, but it's pretty dark. It's really nice. That is the shadow lurker, my friends. Or the Black Claw, or the fake White Claw, whatever you want to call it, but it's tasty. All right. We have one more cocktail, and this is a very important cocktail because I want to make sure everybody is staying safe out there in the apocalypse. Never know when vampires might be lurking and you need to stay safe. So this cocktail is to deter vampires from attacking you. I like to call this the Vampire Slayer. You're going to need another cocktail shaker. And we are going to use 1.5 ounces of mezcal. Now, mezcal is one of those spirits that not a lot of people agree on. You either love it or you hate it. It can be a little smoky, can be similar to tequila-ish. So I particularly like this brand. It's not impressive. It's not incredibly aggressive. It's a really good entryway mezcal, I think. It's called Kimo Sabe. But if you don't like mezcal, you can swap this out for tequila. It'll be just as nice. So 1.5 ounces of our mezcal. We're going to do 1 ounce of lime juice. And then you may be familiar with the term verdita. Verdita is a very classic combination of ingredients that's used in certain beverages or cocktails throughout Mexico. They take pineapple juice and blend mint and cilantro into it, and sometimes it'll have jalapenos, so it can be spicy. I was challenged way back in the beginning of this quarantine to make a cocktail with garlic. So I took out the jalapeno and added garlic to this verdita, and believe it or not, it's actually really good. If it wasn't good, I wouldn't make it for you guys, because I want you to trust me. I want you to ever make anything at home and then hate me for it. So believe it or not, this cocktail has garlic. So I have made and strained my verdita. If you do this at home, it's really easy to batch, but the color will change and get dull as the days go by, just because it is a fresh green herb. So we are going to use 2 whole ounces of our garlic verdita. Yes, said it. Put that in there. We're going to shake this cocktail. We're going to put some ice in our shaker. Same thing, about 10 to 15 seconds. All right, so if you like the color of this beverage, but perhaps you would like it to be more intensely green, you can always increase the amount of mint and cilantro in the blend. The recipe for the blend is on the flyer that I put out for this week's class. So I like it with this flavor balance because of the garlic. But when you add jalapeno, it can stand with a lot more mint and cilantro. So when you do that, it can be absolutely vibrant. But the trick is to not use any of the stems of the mint. They'll make it darker brown. And for the mint and the cilantro, you just want them to be incredibly fresh. So we're going to ice our we're going to strain our garlic in here. And that's one of the reasons this will keep you safe. We all know vampires and garlic don't mix. And just in case they still come after you anyway, we're going to garnish this with a wooden stake for your steak. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the vampire snake. Happy Halloween. I'm so excited about these classes. This is so good. Oh, so tasty. So this is definitely a savory drink. Highly recommended if you're a Bloody Mary fan. This might get you on a whole new train you didn't even know you wanted to be on. So I will say, I made this version that you're seeing right here without any simple syrup in it. For my palate, I prefer to add about 1/4 ounce of simple syrup to this recipe. So it would be 1.5 ounces of mezcal, 1 ounce of lime, 2 of the verdita, and 1/4 of the simple. But that does depend on your pineapple juice. If you're using fresh pineapple juice, you will probably need it because it tends to be a little bit more acidic than the ones you buy already made. If you're using just like the Dole pineapple juice, you might choose Pop-Top like I did. So it's very flexible, whatever you like. How hot is the garlic? Very good question. So if you're not aware, sometimes when you eat garlic, it has like a spiciness to it, which is not all garlic. Usually that happens when the garlic starts to grow a green shoot in the middle because it's trying to make a new plant. And that's what makes it very spicy. It's also what makes you burp up garlic for the rest of the day is if those little garlic shoots are in there. So to avoid any spiciness from the garlic, I just use jarred minced garlic. If you would like it to be a little bit more garlic forward, absolutely use the fresh garlic. But I found that the mellowness of that garlic in the jar was a lot better for this cocktail. You could also get your own cloves and roast them. But in this particular one, there's no hint of spiciness at all. It is just herbal, and it's got the smokiness is really light because this mezcal is not very smoky, but the vegetal note of that mezcal just blends really, really nicely with all of those herbs. And then it's just lightly sweet because of the pineapple. But yes, that is the cocktail. You can use verdita for anything, really. If you have a mix and then you just add in some vodka, you can add in some club soda and then make it kind of like a seltzer. Tell everybody you're on a juice cleanse, put it in a clear glass, and then just get drunk. But that is our class today. Next week, I believe we're doing witches. I'm not entirely sure. I have it all planned out. I believe we're doing witches. So come back next Sunday and see me for a whole new outfit and a whole new set of spooky cocktails and laugh at home in the privacy of your own home at my weirdness. Get on this train with me. Come dressed to my class. That would make me so happy. Even if it's just, I don't know, weird glasses. Or maybe you come dressed in your pajamas because you're dressed like the pandemic. But come see me on Sundays. I love having you guys here. This has been a lot of fun. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the live feed for Facebook. See y'all next Sunday.